Hey there, Erin Lee here of heavenlymessenger.com, and welcome. Thank you so much for joining me for this week's Connection with Intention. It has been forever, it feels like, since we've gathered here for a Connection with Intention. Usually I'm on Sunday afternoons with Miss Bobby Roundtree, born medium. But today it's just me, and we're going to talk about angels, and we're going to talk about psychic questions and psychic ability and intuition. And my friend Charlie, the cat from next door, has just shown up and has joined us. So who knows? Maybe we'll be talking with Charlie too. So as you can see, I've got a banner up saying questions, or pardon me, hellos are welcome, but hold off on questions just for a moment. I like to give everybody a chance, and so like to wait until I'm ready to take questions. So please hold on to your questions, but feel free to say hello. It's great to see you. I'm so incredibly grateful for the time that you've taken out of your day to be here with me. And it's always such a pleasure to be able to connect in this way. So thank you for joining me. So, a couple of things. The energy recently has been really crazy and intense. I know that I've been experiencing it a lot, in part because there have been things that have been going on that are outside of the usual for me. There's been some renovation that's been going on in my home, which has been absolutely amazing. But it's thrown my regular routine out of balance. And for me, routine is something that's really important. It helps to keep me balanced and it helps to keep me in a good place. So being out of routine's been a little bit tricky. But also, we've had a lot of really intense energetic energies as well. We're in Mercury retrograde, which means that communication can be kind of challenging, technology can be challenging. And so actually I'm going to double check the comments and make sure that you guys can still hear me, because as I was coming on live today, I thought, oh my goodness, I haven't checked my mic in a while. I hope the mic is still working. And so I'll just take a moment to say hello to Ange and hello to Margaret. It's great to see you. Thank you so much. I appreciate that. And hello to Carrie and to Deborah. It's great to connect with you guys. I am assuming that since you've commented, you can all hear me. So that's awesome. So yeah, Mercury is in retrograde right now, which means that communication is challenging, technology is challenging, and you kind of have to give time and space because things aren't happening on schedule the way that they usually do. In fact, things are happening in their own darn time, and there's not a lot that you can do to hustle things along. So rather than becoming frustrated by it, you kind of have to say, hey, I need to slow down and just allow things to happen, because there's not much that I can do to make them move faster, make them move better. And then, of course, we've just had the lunar eclipse, and we're just coming out of full moon energy. I was driving around in town today, which is not my usual, because usually during the day I'm working. And oh my goodness, people are driving like maniacs. I don't know how many car accidents I was almost in today, but it was intense. So, make sure before you go driving that you ground yourself so that you're in a good spot where you can be a proactive driver rather than an aggressive driver. So yeah, a couple of things just like that have been happening. Awesome. Thank you so much. Carrie and Margaret have said that they can hear me. That's awesome. Thank you. I appreciate it. And I'm going to assume that everybody else can hear me too. And hello to Crystal. It's great to see you as well. Yeah, what else was I going to talk about? I'm trying to remember. Before I forget, I've also come back into teaching classes, which has been absolutely amazing. I knew at the end of 2019 that I was going to take the spring of 2020 off because I was tired and I was burnt out. I didn't think it was going to take me 3 years to get back to it. But yeah, we had our first level 1 Reiki class, not this past weekend, but the weekend before. I've got level 2 Reiki coming up over the May long weekend, which is not this coming weekend, but the following weekend. Then I take a weekend break. And the first weekend in June, we have developing your intuition, focusing on clairvoyance. And then the following weekend, we have reading oracle cards using your intuition. So I know that I've had lots of people asking about intuitive development courses and classes, and they are here. They are here in June. I don't have plans to offer any more until later in the fall. So if you were interested in developing intuition, now is the time. And I see Carrie saying yes to the driving. Yeah, driving's been crazy. I'm not exactly sure what it is. In fact, I noticed it a couple of weeks ago. It was really bizarre. Here on Vancouver Island, where I live, we have a pile of deer. We have a huge deer population. And during the spring, during mating season, you really have to watch out because they're not as road savvy as they usually are. And it's because the hormones are flooding their brains. They're in rut, I guess is the way to describe it. You need to be really careful. And I remember looking around and I'm like, it's like driving with a whole pile of horny people in the beginning of spring. Everybody's minds, I don't know where they are. I don't know that they were necessarily horny, but it was like they weren't thinking clearly, and it went on for quite a while. So anyway, be careful when you drive, people. It is really important to pay attention and to ground and to be present in your driving. Awesome. Hello, Pamela. It's great to see you. Thanks for joining us. So, the beginning of the Connection with Intention show, I like to give everybody an opportunity to pull a card or to have a card pulled for them. So that's what we're going to do. This is your choose your own adventure crystal reading. I'm just going to pop it up here. Being outside, my mouse isn't working the way that it usually does, but aha, there we go. All right. So these are the crystals that you have. I was really drawn today to work with the spheres. So on the left hand side, we have obsidian. In the middle, we have rose quartz. And on the end, unfortunately, you can't see it very well, but that is a clear quartz sphere. So we have obsidian, rose quartz, and clear quartz. And so what I'm going to ask you to do is take a moment and think about a question or several questions. There's nothing that's stopping you from choosing more than one card or crystal for your question, or having more than one question that you're pulling a card for. Take a moment and think about your question and ask which crystal, which card is going to best represent the answer that you are needing to receive today. Is it the obsidian? Is it rose quartz or clear quartz? And while you do that, I'm going to shuffle the cards and we're going to choose a card. So I've got one here for obsidian, and we have one for rose quartz, almost. And we have one for, oops, sorry guys, talk about technical difficulties. I mean, that was user error. I'm not going to blame that on Mercury retrograde, but that was definitely user error. And then we have clear quartz. All right. So I hope you have your questions in mind, your crystals in mind. We're going to start on the end with obsidian. And so the card deck that we've chosen is, this is the Messages from Your Angels Oracle card deck. And the card that we have is Serena with abundance. And she says, I am the angel of abundance. You will receive the money that you need, and God is in charge of how that will happen. Have faith. You know, one of the messages that I hear when I pick up this card is surrender, just to let go. And it kind of reminds me of the messages that we had coming up around Mercury retrograde and what's happening. There's nothing that you can do to push and force things to happen. Now, that doesn't mean that you sit back and just like wait. I mean, it's still important to be proactive, particularly in like listening to your intuition and then taking action on the messages that you're getting. But at the same time, it's also really important to know that you trying to push or to force something to happen won't make it happen right now. So sometimes you need to sit back, step back, take a breather, look at the situation from a different perspective, and also be open to miraculous solutions. So things coming from out of nowhere that, you know, you might not necessarily be on your radar. You know, one of the big lessons that I've learned is just because I've asked for something to happen in a certain way doesn't mean that it's going to happen in that way. That thing might still happen, but not necessarily in the way that I've planned out, or something better will happen. So if you've chosen obsidian, now is a time to like clear, to release expectations, but to also know that things are happening as they need to, and abundance that you need on any sort of material level, physical level. So this can have to do with health and wellness. This can have to do with the time that you need to do things, or it can have to do with like physical money and currency. All of these things are coming together and improving. Moving on to the rose quartz crystal. So if you chose rose quartz in the middle, the card that we have here, this was pulled from the Archangel Oracle card deck. And the card that we have is Clairsentience. This is Archangel Raguel. And his message is notice your recurring physical and emotional feelings as they signify divine guidance. So when this card comes up, we're talking about feelings and emotions and physical sensation that you're experiencing in the body. This can also talk about increased sensitivity to the things that are happening around you. So for example, this can be becoming more sensitive to the emotional situations that you're in, to the feelings of that other people are experiencing. This is also encouragement to take a look and see like what's happening for you on an emotional level, what's happening for you on a physical level. Now is not the time to be like disconnecting from your emotions. In fact, what's being asked of you is that you're delving more deeply into it. So looking at, what this might mean for a question that you may have asked. Let's say you have uncomfortable feelings that have been coming up. Maybe there's a relationship or a situation that's been causing you to become frustrated or angry or outside of your usual emotional realm. And instead of saying, hey, there's something going on here that I need to pay attention to, you're pushing it down and saying, no, this isn't valid. No, this isn't real. Stop. The emotions that are coming up are trying to tell you something. And, I look at emotions as being ones that are comfortable and enjoyable to experience, and those that are less comfortable rather than good or bad emotions, because an emotion isn't a good or bad thing. It's just comfortable or less comfortable to experience. And usually when we have those really uncomfortable emotions, we're focused on getting rid of it, removing it from our experience, rather than saying, hey, this emotion's here. I'm not comfortable, but it's here for a reason. I need to pay attention to it, and seeing it as a signpost that's guiding and showing us what we need to notice, what we need to pay attention to, what we need to be aware of. So if you chose the rose quartz sphere in the middle for your question, pay attention to your feelings because they're accurate and they're helping to guide you in the appropriate direction. And then if you chose the clear quartz at the very end, the card for you is from the Mermaids and Dolphins Oracle card deck. And the message is positive energy. Oops, sorry, my lighting's a little bit tricky here. And positive energy. Surround yourself with positive people and situations and avoid negativity. So again, this is encouragement to make sure that you are aware of the energy that is around you. And I remember teaching courses and classes back before pandemic, and people asked me things like, are you typically affected by the emotions of the people around you? And at that point, I was really conscious and aware of recognizing what was mine and what was not. And what was not mine, I didn't allow it to affect me. And then as we started to come out of the restrictions and the isolation that we were in, I noticed that people came out and their emotions were incredibly dysregulated. And it was really, really difficult for me to focus and to move forward in that, because I felt like I was being bombarded. So as we become more and more sensitive, we are more and more aware of the energies that we're spending time in. And it's important to make sure that for the most part, we're focusing on connecting with situations and energies that make us feel good, that make us feel helpful, and make us feel supported. Now, are we able to do that all the time? No, that's part of life. We're not able to control all of the situations that we're in. We're not able to control all the situations that other people are in, but we can really focus on trying for the most part to be connecting with people in positive ways. And part of that means taking care of our own stuff too. That, when we're recognizing that we're in a challenged place, rather than like just randomly throwing it off, finding a positive way to put that energy back into the earth so it's not having an impact on the people around us. So being as proactive as we can be in the environment that we are in. Awesome. Fabulous. And obsidian for Ange was around abundance. And I'm not exactly sure when you asked your question. It looked like it was a couple of minutes ago, but I think that was the card that you were looking for. Awesome. And hello to Michelle. It's great to see you. Thanks so much for joining us. Okay, so we've gone through this. Let me just put up the different, there we go. Oh, no, we need to take this one down. Yep. Okay. So now feel free to ask the questions that you have. When you ask a question, please be specific. I don't take questions. Do you have a message for me, or will you pull a card for me? That's just not what I do. So if that's a question that you ask, I'm going to skip over you and I'm going to go to the next person who asks a specific question. And if you want me to use a specific card deck, please mention it with your question, because if you do a reply or a response down below, I don't see it until after I've done your reading, and at that point it's too late. So we have the blue deck, which is the mermaids and dolphins. We have the yellow deck, which is the archangel oracle card deck, and we have the green deck, which is the mermaids and no, messages from your angels. Okay, all right. And I know some people who've been around for a while, they've had their questions waiting, and I see them coming in. You guys have paragraphs. So I'm going to hop right to it. So we've got Ange here. Hi, Ange. I'm so glad that you joined us. You've been on my mind. And okay, so Ange says, well, you were right on. Me and A reconnected. We're taking it super slow. Awesome. He's going away soon for 2 months for work. Just wondering what the energy is with us for the next little while. Okay, fabulous. Let's take a look. So I'm glad that you're taking things super slow, because I'm feeling like this need to really inch forward, because there's part of me that's feeling really, really sensitive. And this is actually coming up in like my sacral chakra. So for women, we're talking like reproductive organs. It's one of our power centers. Creativity and passion is definitely at the forefront here. So I suspect that there's a little bit of healing that's still going on here. I am seeing you still being really focused on yourself, and that could have to do with the fact that he's going to be away for a little while. So I want to encourage you to continue focusing on maintaining yourself, maintaining your overall health and well-being. And where else are we going with that? Taking time. Just keep taking time. I do have July popping up. So I mean, we are kind of the beginning of May, so it could be that he's coming back in July, and that the two of you are spending more time together. It does feel like there's a deeper connection that's happening. I do see the two of you connecting while he's away, but he's also showing me that communication might be challenged and difficult. So I don't know if that has to do with the schedule while he's gone, or if he's in somewhere that feels like it's kind of remote and that like connectivity is actually kind of spotty. But it does feel like you will be able to connect intermittently, but perhaps not as consistently and regularly as you would choose. But I'm seeing that being okay, because it feels like your energy and focus is going back into you. And the last thing I have coming up is I want to make sure that you get something off of your chest. There's something that you haven't spoken about with him yet, and it almost feels like you're tiptoeing around it. It feels like this is something that you need to address before he goes, before he leaves, if you can, because it's going to help make things a lot clearer for you in terms of how you're going to proceed moving forward. Okay, let's take a look. I've chosen the Archangel Oracle card deck for you, and we're just going to see what message is coming up. So we have the Hello from Heaven card, and this is Archangel Azrael. His message is, your loved ones in heaven are doing fine. Let go of worries and feel their loving blessings. For me, when this comes up, and also knowing Ange, this is absolutely somebody that's coming through, that's letting you know that she loves you, that she's supporting you, and that she's always going to be with you. So I see that as being really strong, beautiful support and love. And also with Archangel Azrael, he helps and supports us with like the separations, with time apart, time away, specifically, when people cross and pass over. But the fact that he's showing up in this question, given the circumstances, I'm also hearing calling on Archangel Azrael and asking him for help and support while the two of you are separated and apart. And it is always such a pleasure connecting with you. I'm super excited that you and A have reconnected and that things are rebuilding. I'm sending you big hugs, lots of love and support, and can hardly wait to hear what else happens. Okay, let me see. So we've got Margaret here. Hi, Margaret. Thanks for joining us. Okay, can we provide some insight on why the contractor I hired never showed up yesterday, nor called me back as he said he would? Am I better off finding someone else? And how much time do I have to do this before my issue becomes a more serious problem? Okay, let's take a look. So, first of all, my immediate thing has to do with Mercury retrograde, that's possibly part of the reason that communication has been challenging and difficult. You know, that said, and that's also it's also a very West Coast thing to say. You know, I am very aware that our levels of communication here tend to be more different. But I happen to know that Margaret is in the East, and that's perhaps less of a thing than it is here. My encouragement for you is to look into someone else. I'm not feeling a really big push, but I am feeling the need to have somebody who's lined up to be coming in, who feels like they're stable and consistent. And I kind of want to focus on the next couple of weeks. And it feels like the work that you're looking at having done feels like it's needing to be started in a relatively short amount of time. Um, Not necessarily because it has to be done, because it's going to get worse. But it feels like this is coming up more because you have other things that you're focusing on. And that the flexibility in terms of, say, you being there to have the work done, to let people in, that's going to be shifting and changing. So that's more where my push is to have things done, as opposed to things being at a point where like they have to be done now, because if they're not done now, it's going to get worse. In terms of the contractor who kind of flaked on you, I'm not exactly sure what's going on with them. Yeah, I'm kind of wanting to encourage you to move on and to move forward, to find somebody else. If this person contacts you and has a great, reason for what happened and a plan for how, when they're going to come and how things are going to be done, then yeah, let them back in. But otherwise, it feels like there's somebody else that you're going to be working with. Um, Oh, and potentially this is going to be someone kind of interesting too. So, yeah, there might be a reason that this person didn't show up for you, and that actually works out kind of well. Okay, we're going to go to the mermaids and dolphins, and we're just going to see what messages are coming up for Margaret around the contractor and the work that you're having done. Um, Oh, interesting. So the card that we have here is Playtime. This is the Mermaids and Dolphins Oracle card deck. The dolphins know the importance of playing, as joy creates miracles and manifestation. So I love that message, because I don't know about you, but when things don't go according to plan, and when people bail on me, or get flaky on me, I get really frustrated. And I like to know what's happening. Perhaps that's an inner control freak thing. I don't know. But part of what I'm seeing with this is the importance of allowing yourself to come into a place of playfulness and letting go of that structured, strict energy, and really focusing on allowing yourself to be in a place of play, and to have fun, and to allow manifestation to happen. If we are holding like this, it's really difficult for opportunities and things to come in. So allowing and creating for a bit of freedom and flexibility allows for miraculous manifestations to happen. So Margaret, I'm really excited that you are getting on it and that you have somebody who's coming in, because I'm seeing somebody coming in pretty soon. And as I said, it could be that this is opening up opportunity in other area of your life, which is exciting. It's always a pleasure connecting with you, Margaret. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love, and manifestation support your way. Okay, I'm feeling the need. Yeah. Okay. All right. No, we're good. And okay, Marissa. Hi, Marissa. Thanks for joining us. It's good to see you. Let me see. Any comments or advice about the person? Ooh, I am currently communicating with Marissa. That's exciting. Okay, so when I ask, it feels like there's a sense of stop, start, stop, start. And I'm kind of wanting to connect with this person more in person. So I'm not sure if you're like texting or messaging in some way, but I'm wanting to to move things to a point where the two of you are connecting more in person. If they are distant from you and it's not feasible to like grab a coffee or something, then it feels like it could be really good to do something like via Zoom or FaceTime or whatever video connection opportunities you have, because it feels like you guys are kind of coming to a point where it is time to be moving things to another level of connection, another level of communication, because we feel like we're kind of otherwise starting to get a little bit flippy floppy, which is okay, because part of what I'm hearing is that this is all part of getting back up on the horse. And so to me, that means that you are starting to get back out there, which feels really awesome and amazing. When I ask about the connection with the person that you're currently talking with, yeah, again, I get this kind of flip flop. I see that there is a lot of potential that's there, but it remains potential until things start moving forward. And that's kind of where I'm seeing things getting a little bit stuck at this point, is the momentum to move things forward. Not because there's not the desire to, but it feels like there are potentially some logistics that are in the way that are needing to be addressed. So I'm kind of wanting to push a little bit of additional communication. So talking on the phone, talking via camera, or if you're able, getting together in person, because at that point it feels like there's a better sense of this person and who they are and how they feel and whether or not you want to continue connecting with them. I am seeing spending time together through the summer, so that says to me that there's definitely something there that is worth exploring, and seeing like what else is happening, what else is coming. But that is really exciting, Marissa, and I am really excited for you because it feels like things are starting to open up. There's something that's kind of questionable that comes up as we move into the fall. It's not insurmountable, but it feels like it does bring something up, and it's kind of like, is this a path that I want to continue on? You can absolutely say yes, and things will go well. You can absolutely say no, and things will go well as well, because it's opened up for someone else. So there is definitely opportunity in this, and exploring it is going to take you where you need to be, either for this relationship or for another one coming in. So either way, it's good. Let's see, what do we have coming up for Marissa? Oh, I love this card. Um, so this is Bethany, and she is all about self-care. When you take excellent care of yourself, everybody benefits. Give yourself a relaxing treat today, such as a massage, a sea salt bath, or pedicure. So whatever you do to support yourself, to take care of yourself, now is the time to do it, to focus on it. Um, yeah, and also the other thing that I'm hearing, uh-oh, I've lost my comments. The other thing that I'm hearing is that it's part of what makes you really attractive to potential partners, is the fact that you're taking care of yourself, not necessarily in terms of like things that you're doing on a physical level, but more that you're feeling good about where you are and about where you're going and the energy that you have to give. Like you're putting off something really awesome that potential partners are really reacting to. So the more that you take care of yourself, the more attractive you are to your potential partner, which is awesome. Okay, Marissa, thank you so much for joining us. It was a pleasure connecting with you. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way, and of course, romance angels too. Awesome. Okay, Michelle, hi. It's great to see you. Thanks for joining us. Crystal, hello. Thanks for joining us. I'm super excited because I think that you're going to be joining me in a couple of weeks for some intuitive development, which is awesome. Okay, so Crystal says, I have been having strong feelings of loneliness lately. And just wondering if I will meet a romantic partner anytime in the near future. Thanks. Okay, so first of all, let's just take a moment, and I'd like to send Crystal some really amazing "you are not alone" energy. And I know that Crystal is not the only one who's feeling and experiencing that. So if we could all just take a moment with whatever love and compassion that you have to give for other people. I ask that we send this out not only to Crystal, but to anybody else who's also feeling really lonely right now, and just create a bit of a net of support and a reminder that we aren't alone, because that's a really tough feeling. Awesome. Okay, so let's take a look, Crystal, and see what we have coming up for you. I feel like I've had this message for you before because it just kind of slides in, it just slips in. But I'm seeing walking up a hill, like it's literal. It's literal. This isn't figuratively like you're walking up a hill and still like the end point is way up there. That's not what this is. It feels literally like you are going on a hike. It feels very outdoorsy. It feels hot. Like if it were me, I would not be walking up this hill because it feels really hot and sweaty and sticky and uncomfortable. But I'm seeing you really enjoying it. So like my hat's off to you for this. And I'm seeing you walking with someone. And I feel like this is part of the reason that this is coming up. So the person that I'm seeing does feel like they are quite active. And this is one of the things that the two of you bond over, that you connect over. But he is also showing me, he's showing me that he likes to sit and talk about things too. Not necessarily feelings per se, but this feels like this has more to do with like interesting topics of conversation. I don't even know how else to say it, but I feel like I'm being intellectually stimulated by the conversation that I'm having with this person. And the other thing that I'm seeing is that his eyes are really bright. Um, I don't know. I don't know how to explain this, but there are often like qualities that people will show me, and what he shows me is that his eyes are like really they're bright. You know, sometimes you look in a person's eyes and they're kind of a little bit dull, and you're like, okay, I understand that there's not maybe as much happening in the background there as there could be for other people. But then there are other people when you look in their eyes and they're like almost like glowing, and you're like, yeah, there's a lot that's going on back there. That's what I'm seeing with this person coming up for you. So we've kind of bypassed the question, is there somebody out there? Yeah, there absolutely is. In terms of how you're connecting with this person, I do want to encourage you to be out and to be doing outdoor exercise type things. I'm seeing you doing it from an enjoyment point of view rather than like I'm going out for a hike because I need to get so many steps in. Um, and I'm also seeing the water with this person too. And I mean, living on an island, we're surrounded by water. So that doesn't that doesn't necessarily say a lot, but it does feel like this is probably somebody who enjoys spending time around or on the water. And I'm kind of wanting to take a look at like bonfires, beach bonfires as well. In terms of how you're going to meet and connect with this person, I'm seeing a lot about like the things that you do together, but not necessarily am I seeing a lot about how you're meeting and connecting with this person. I don't think that this is someone that you already know. This does feel like this is someone new, but it's entirely possible that you're meeting this person through someone you know. And in fact, this person feels very familiar to me. So either when you meet, you feel like you know them or have known them for a long time, or they remind you a lot of somebody else that you know. What I would say is, you know, don't, if that's what it is, don't put too much of that person on this new person that you're meeting. Allow this person, you know, the opportunity to be themselves, and to get to know them as an individual rather than saying, oh, you remind me of this person, so this is true about you too. um, but yeah, I feel a lot of comfort with this person, a lot of enjoyment, and um, I'm going to say that our timeline is actually pretty quick because, again, this is all weather related and it feels like it's pretty soon. So, today when I was driving, we were 20 degrees Celsius. So things are definitely warming up. I would say that it's certainly warmer than that with what I'm seeing you like spending time. But that's not too far in the future. So awesome. Oh, and we're going to pull a card for you. What does Crystal need to know about finding this person and partner? I'm hearing just let it flow. Interesting. So we have the overcoming difficulties card. This is Archangel Jeremiah, and his message is the worst is now behind you and you are surmounting any previous challenges. So I see this as being, you know, really hopeful for what's coming up. Again, you know, like you're not floundering in the same spot that perhaps you have been. There is a sense of opening that's happening, that's coming. So this summer, this is the summer of Crystal. 2023. This is it. Crystal, it's always such a pleasure connecting with you. I'm so grateful that you joined us today. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. And I can hardly wait for you to come back and tell us about this new awesome person that you've connected with. Okay, I'm just going to go through. And I see, ooh, yes. Okay, just wanted to double check and see if we had any spammers on. And you are welcome. It is always a pleasure connecting with you. Okay, Pat. Hi, Pat. Thanks for joining us. I've never done the card stuff. Mermaids and dolphins. Perfect. Awesome. Will these annoying health issues hurry up and leave me alone? I'm not ready to be old and decrepit. I need to carry on pretending I'm young. I love it. And I think I saw something a little bit lower asking about the spelling mistakes. No problem. That happens while we're here. And just for the record, it doesn't have anything to do with being old and decrepit, because you are not. It probably has to do with being so quick on your fingers that you didn't spell check. I have that problem too. Okay, let's take a look and see what we've got coming up for you, Pat. So part of what I'm feeling is actually coming up in through like the structure of my body. So this feels more muscular and structural. So I'm going into like discomfort in my neck and shoulders and down into my back. And so I'm wanting to encourage some stretching, and I suspect that you know somebody who's really good with yoga who might be able to help you out with that too. And yeah, I'm wanting to encourage some movement because you're not old. In fact, your energy comes through really young and vibrant and peppy. I want to say peppy. Let me see, what else do we have coming up for you? Um, I've got something that's coming up on a digestive level, and part of what I'm hearing is getting down to work, getting down to business. So that says to me that there's something that you know that you could be doing or that you should be doing. I don't like the word should, but that's what comes up. And that it's time to hop on it, to get on it, because that is really going to make a significant difference. And it feels like that potentially has an impact on how you're feeling in your body as well, because then I'm being pulled down to knees and to joints, just kind of in general. And I'm wondering if there's something that you are consuming that is having an inflammatory effect and impact. And it feels like there's a slight adjustment in diet that makes a huge change for how you feel in your body overall. And I'm also wanting to encourage water as well. And I mean, I know that everybody talks about water, but it's kind of cliche for a reason, because it does help and it does work. But I'm really wanting to encourage movement in your body. And if stretching isn't your thing and if yoga isn't your thing, I'm kind of wanting to encourage just a little bit of like dancing, even like movement feels like it's your friend and it helps to lubricate things. There is something else that's going on a health level that I'm not able to pinpoint. But I suspect that the change that I'm seeing you making on a dietary level does have an impact in how you feel in your body overall. And it's kind of like clearing the clutter away so that you're able to focus on what is actually happening and going on. This also feels like it's something that just needs it's just a slight adjustment, and everything just kind of falls into place. So, I'm not seeing I'm not seeing you being decrepit at all. Your energy is incredibly vibrant and healthy. And so that's just needing to be reflected in your physical body and your physical experience. Let's just take a look. So the mermaids and dolphins, let's see what's coming up for Pat and her health and well-being. Okay, interesting. So the card that we have here is time to move on. It's time to let go of the old and worn out so that new can come in. So there's something that you're holding on to that's saying, hey, like we've gone over this again and again and again, and it's time to put that down, put that to rest. I'm wanting to go into like pattern or habit with this. And this could be on like a mental, emotional level. This could be on like a physical level. It's just habit to have something. I'm just going to pull this one out of the air. It's a habit to have something sweet after dinner. And it's not so much that you can't have something sweet, but the sweet needs to change into something different. Maybe it's an apple, or maybe it's like a piece of fruit or something instead of something else. But it feels like there's a habit that's needing to shift and to change, and that makes a really significant difference for you. Pat, I'm so grateful that you joined us tonight. Thank you so much. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love, and healing support your way. Thank you. Awesome. You are welcome, Ange. Okay, so Michelle. Hi, Michelle. Thanks for joining us. So Michelle's asking, do you see my relationship finally settling down and being stable? Yes and no. I do see that there's a change that's happening in your relationship that does feel positive, but there's something that's just kind of getting at me. It feels like a pebble in your shoe, and it might not be big enough that you have to deal with it right now. But if you were to walk a kilometer on it, you'd be like, this is really freaking annoying. I have to do something about this because I'm hurting myself. So there's something that's kind of sticking that in the short term you can overlook and it's okay. But in the long term, it doesn't feel like it works and it's feasible. And that's actually what I'm kind of wanting to tackle with this. And it feels like that's part of where stability comes in. There's a sense. What's going on? This feels like this is happening more on your partner's side than your side, because I'm feeling you being ready. And I'm kind of wanting to check in and find out exactly what it is that your partner's wanting. And I'm reminded of a situation that I was in for far too long, where I would tell the guy that I was seeing that I was interested in exactly what I wanted in a relationship. And so when I asked him what he wanted, he told me exactly what I wanted to hear because I had been very clear with him about what it was that I wanted. But his actions didn't line up with what he was saying. And I'm kind of getting some of that vibe with what's happening in your situation too. So not only are you talking and saying, hey, like, what's going on? What is it that you want? But I feel like you're starting to address some of the things that are problematic for you and saying, okay, this is something that drives me absolutely crazy. And your partner is like, yeah, I can totally see that. I can totally understand that. And I'm not going to do it again. Cool. What are you going to do when you notice that you're starting to slide into it again? So it feels like you're kind of coming up with a plan for how we're going to move forward. Yeah, but I'm really wanting to get to the heart of what is what is happening for your partner in terms of the relationship that the two of you are in, because there's something that isn't being addressed. You're kind of skimming over it. And once you address it, it's going to be really super clear for both of you. And the relationship then has the ability to start being and feeling more stable and connected and committed. Okay, let's take a look, Michelle, and see what card we have for you. This is the Archangel Oracle card deck. Oh, interesting. And the card we have here is creative writing. This is Archangel Gabrielle's card, and her message is make time to write down your thoughts in a journal or pen an article or book. So, I mean, that can absolutely be part of the message. But even more than that, Archangel Gabrielle is the archangel of communication. She helps us to express what it is that we need to get off of our chest, but she also helps us to listen and to hear not only what is being said, but also to see what is happening, what's going on. So call on Archangel Gabrielle and ask her for help and support. The other aspect of communication that comes up is honesty. And it's not necessarily that somebody is being intentionally dishonest with themselves, dishonest with a partner, but they haven't been honest with themselves yet. So when it comes to addressing stability issues in stability issues in your relationship and partnership, maybe instead of saying, hey, we need to talk about this, say, something to the effect of, we're having challenge and difficulty in X, Y, and Z thing. I'd like for both of us to take some time to think about this and then come back and have a conversation with each other. And that way, you're not putting anybody on the spot. Both of you are coming prepared with the things that you want to talk about, the things that you want to focus on. And there's more opportunity for both of you to be honest with yourselves first, so that you can be honest with your partner later. But it does feel like there is opportunity for growth and building, but you need to clear the slate first. Awesome. Michelle, it was such a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way. Awesome. Cece. Hi, Cece. Thanks for joining us. Do you see any issues with our neighbors as we build and expand our place in the upcoming months? And do you see things happening on track without too much delay and problems? Okay, so we're looking at building. I'm Before you get started, I'm wanting to have open communication with your neighbors first of all. So if you don't already know them, go over and introduce yourselves to them and create some openings for conversation. It doesn't feel like there's going to be too much challenge and trouble or difficulty, but I am seeing that there might be some unintentional uh, overlaps onto property in some way that feels like that's going to be a little bit of a challenge. So the communication and the relationship that you have ahead of time is really helpful. In terms of delays, I do have some delays that are coming up, but these don't feel like these are unexpected with the size of the project that you're working on. So, for example, with the renovations that I was doing, they were supposed to be done in about a week, and it took more like 3. That feels like that was probably excessive for what was happening and going on, but there were reasons for it. It feels like you're going to go into it with a better plan than I did, which is helpful. So definitely make sure that you have a plan before you get started. But it does feel like there's some sort of delay that will come up. Fortunately, I'm able to see like a bit of a redirection. So for example, instead of just like waiting for something to come in and not being able to do anything, it feels like you're able to say, hey, well, we've got the stuff to focus on this thing. So we're going to redirect our energy into this while we're waiting for this. So there's a little bit of juggling that's happening. It does feel like there's a little bit of delay overall. So if you're expecting the project to take 6 months, then it feels like you're taking more like 6.5 to 7 months, but that it's not something that's completely like out of the realm of what you're able to do, what you're able to afford. And it does feel like things move relatively smoothly. I'm not sure when you're planning on starting, but if it's at all possible to not start while Mercury's in retrograde, that would be really helpful because that does definitely bring challenge up. And I have to say, I don't honestly know when this one's finishing, but they usually last about 3 weeks. Okay, Cece, let's take a look and see what's coming up for you. I've got the messages from your angels oracle card deck that we're pulling from. We're just going to ask, what do we need to focus on with, oh, we've got 2 for Cece with their build. Interesting. Okay, so the first card that we have here is Teresa with the time out card. She's saying, time out. You've been so busy taking care of everyone else's needs, but now it's time to stop and take care of yourself. I would say this is true not only for right now, but also as you're going through the building process, that it's something that has the potential to be really stressful. So make sure that you're building in that time for you to take care of yourself, that you're not overbooking and overscheduling yourself so that you do have the time and flexibility to roll with what's happening. And I would give yourself at least an extra 2 weeks on the project in your own mind, so that, you know, if you do have a little bit of overage, that you're able to support that. And the other card that we have here is Rosetta. And her message is, you have a gift for working with young people, and your divine purpose involves helping, teaching, or parenting children. So if you have any children who are living with you and or are going to be impacted during this time, make sure that you're taking time to connect with them, that's really important. The flip side of that, if there aren't kids that are involved in your life at this point, making sure that you're taking time for yourself to nurture and nourish yourself and to play. Hit up the park, do something fun, swing on the swings, make sure that you're taking time for play as well. Cece, it was such a pleasure connecting with you. Thank you so much for joining us. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way, and lots of like building and construction and really good communication angels. All of those sending your way too. Oh dear. Oh, and Pat, thank you so much. I appreciate this. We are out in the garden today, so thank you. Awesome, Margaret. You are welcome. Fabulous. And Crystal, I'm so excited that you're going to be joining us too. Okay, Rachel. Hi, Rachel from Dublin. Welcome. Let me see. Okay, we've got some mediumship. Mediumship isn't my forte. Let's just take a look and see what we have coming up. Rachel is asking about her partner who is passed, and his name was Emmanuel. Um, Oh, okay. So he is coming through. My fingers are crossed that this is accurate for you because I don't normally do mediumship on the live show because there's not a lot of energy to connect with. But I do have somebody walking towards me, and this person is feeling really confident. This is interesting. I've got a lot that's coming up kind of in my lower belly intestine as well. So I'm wanting to ask actually if he may have had some like bowel upset or like gas or I mean we could go into Crohn's or IBS with this as well, but there's something that's going on in my lower abdomen that is not comfortable. It's really painful, and I also feel like potentially I'm bringing something up as well, so possibly like something with stomach as well. So there's something digestive that feels like it's coming up with him. um what do we have? And he's also like talking to you and trying to show you things. This is really interesting because I am feeling you being really open to connecting with him, to wanting to see him, to want to experience him being close to you. But he's showing me that what he's trying to do isn't coming through quite the way that he was wanting it to or expecting it to. And he's kind of saying that the spirit thing's harder than he thought it was going to be, which is leading me to wonder if this was something that he was open to while he was here, because he's kind of laughing about it. It almost feels like it's a little bit of a joke to him. It's kind of like, I thought this was going to be easier. I thought I would be able to just like poke at you to get right in there. So he's coming through with a really great sense of humor as well. He's wanting to laugh with you, and he's showing me um you like down like this. So there's a feeling of grief and grieving that's coming up that feels kind of expected, but he's also showing me that there's been some time and some space that have happened as well. So I'm wanting to ask, I mean, there's no right or wrong timeline on grief and grieving. It's a process that you can't mandate as being a certain amount of time. But he's showing me that he wants you to laugh rather than cry. So remember the amazing times and the amazing things with him. And he's like doing things to try to get a rise out of you. Like my apologies for the language, but for lack of better word, I'm wanting to call him a little bit of a shit disturber. And he's coming and he's doing things that are he's trying to get your attention. He's trying to be playful. He's trying to be fun and funny. And it feels like it's difficult to connect with that energy. I'm noticing that my voice is changing as I'm talking as well. It's feeling like it's more and more emotional. It's more difficult to get things out. And so he keeps pointing me back to grief and grieving. And he's saying, you need to get things out because you're holding on. And that just kind of keeps cycling you. And because it's cycling, he's not able to get through in the way that he would like and that he would choose. But he's not going anywhere. He says that he's going to wait for you to He's going, he's going to wait for you to figure it out on this side while he's figuring it out on that side. So he's wanting to work together with you. And I've got something that's coming up around bells. And this is really interesting because I heard bells for somebody else earlier this week, for a loved one who had recently passed as well. When you hear the chime and the jingle of bells, he's showing me that that's part of him letting you know that he's around. And to help to remind you, he's saying to put bells around the house, or around where you are, if you have a garden area as well, where you'll hear them regularly, because that's how often he's with you, and he's gonna ding at them too. So you'll especially know that he's around when he dings the bells, when you aren't, like when there isn't a wind or there isn't another reason for them to be there. He's saying that he's there with you. And Archangel Azrael is popping up as well, and he helps and supports us with our loved ones who are on the other side. When it comes to like connecting, when it comes to connecting with our loved ones on the other side, Archangel Azrael can help and support us in like amplifying and magnifying their ability to connect with us, helps to raise our vibration up and brings their vibration down a little bit so that we can connect. So call on Archangel Azrael. I pulled a card for you from the Archangel Oracle card deck, and this is Archangel Chamuel with the Beloved One card. I am helping you with your spiritual soulmate relationship. I mean, for me, this is like confirmation of the connection that you have with Emmanuel, that he is coming through as this soulmate bond relationship connection. So there's reason that the two of you connected in this lifetime. There's reason that he's continuing to reach out to you, and there's play and there's love and there's joy that's coming through. So do know that he's definitely with you, and do focus on the bells. The bells feel like they're significant for him. Rachel, I'm so incredibly grateful that you joined us, and all the way from Dublin, Ireland as well. It was a pleasure. I'm sending big hugs, lots of love and support your way, and lots of bell ringing too. Awesome. Christine, welcome. Thanks for joining us. If you want to ask a specific question about someone, I would love to connect for you. Let me see. And Rachel, we did do your question. I'm so glad that you connected. And Christine, if you want to ask a specific question, that would be awesome. Crystal, yes, this summer. That's fabulous. I'm so grateful for you. And thanks for joining us. Okay. Perfect. Pat says that she absolutely knows what I'm speaking about habit-wise. I am my own worst enemy and have told myself many times that it is time to change. I think I got my boot to listen tonight. That's fabulous. Well, I'm sending lots of love and support and a lot of boots to help you continue with the message. Monica, hello. It's wonderful to connect with you. If you want to ask a specific question, I'd love to do a reading for you. Michelle, you are welcome. Yes, and Rachel, we did connect with you. Hello, Debbie. It's great to see you. Cece, you are welcome. I'm so sorry, Rachel. I'm just seeing your messages now that he passed in his sleep, and saw him at the end of the bed. That's, it's really easy for our loved ones to connect with us when we're like at night, because our conscious mind is shutting down. It's really common for them to come and visit us during our dreams as well, which can be challenging, but it can also be really relieving too. So I wouldn't be surprised if he's coming that way for you as well. Awesome. Okay, Sarah's saying, I'm seeing my spirit guides from the corner of my, I'm assuming, eye. Why? Okay, so often we'll see things out of the corner of our eye because we're not completely comfortable yet with seeing them here. So it's almost like they're kind of testing. So what you can do, when you start to notice that out of the corner of your eye, you can say, hey, like, I see you. It's safe to come and to show me more and more and more and more. So the more that you recognize and validate that they're there, that they're trying to connect with you, the easier it's going to be for you to see them as you grow and develop. So yeah, usually that's kind of a little bit of a test, and they're gauging to see how open you are to connecting with them, how open you are to seeing and to experiencing them. So yeah, let them know that you are ready and that you're connecting. Awesome. Let's just see. Let's actually, Sarah, I want to see if we have any other messages that are coming up for you with that. And, and Sarah says, yes, that makes sense. And yes, that she did mean to include I. Yeah. And it's really interesting. I've been starting to feel like I've been going a little bit crazy because I keep seeing things out of the corner of my eye too. So I'm really grateful that you've mentioned that because it's obviously a message that I need for myself as well, which is really cool. So thank you, Sarah, for initiating that question for both of us. What else do we have to say about your guys? Oh, okay. So one of the other things that's popping up, driving. I haven't been experiencing this, but I'm wondering if this is something that you're experiencing, that you're seeing things while you're driving too, out of the corner of your eye. And part of what I'm hearing is the need to create boundaries when it's a good time for them to show up. So driving might not be a safe time, or if you are driving, maybe when you're on the highway, when there aren't a lot of cars around, that's an appropriate time. I know for myself, when I first started doing mediumship, actually, I would have a couple of loved ones that would come with me and they would sit as I did this long drive. I was driving down to Nanaimo back when there was no traffic on the highway. And that's when they would come and sit with me and we would talk. We would talk as I was driving to and from Nanaimo, and it was great. So you can definitely choose when is an appropriate time. In the middle of traffic might not be an appropriate time. Oh, okay. Of course you do. I see them in my rear view mirror. Yeah, of course you do. Interesting. I've just had a card fall out for you. So and it's literally fallen on the ground. Yeah. So pay attention to when is an appropriate time. And that could also be part of the reason that you're seeing them out of the corner of your eye. They're letting you know that they're there, that they're with you, but they aren't interfering directly with you driving because it wouldn't be safe. So especially if you're seeing them while you're driving, say, hey, like, I see you, come and connect with me at X, Y, and Z time, because that's a really good time. And I'll make sure that I clear space in order to connect with you, so that you don't have to just randomly kind of pop up. Miss Bobby Roundtree, hi. It's so good to see you. I'm so glad that you're on tonight. And okay, so compassion was the card that fell out for you, Sarah. This is Archangel Zadkiel. Soften your heart with respect to this situation. Oh, and all the people involved, including yourself. I love that. So self-compassion is so important when you are learning, growing, and developing on an intuitive and on a psychic level, because it can be really easy to kind of put yourself down unintentionally. And so, yeah, really important to make sure that you're taking time to be compassionate with yourself, saying, hey, like, maybe I don't even want to give that example. The example I was going to use that I don't want to give is comparing yourself and your progress to somebody else's. You have no idea what's going on for that person. And the only person that you can focus on is yourself. So we all grow and we learn and develop at different rates. We have different things that we focus on at different times. There are different things that are important in our lives at all different times. And so just focus on where you are. Let me see. Would you say it maybe they're auras that I see? Yeah, it absolutely could be, but I'm seeing them becoming more clear and apparent. I don't know if this is exactly what you're seeing right now, but like impish is almost the word that I want to use. So I'm wondering if you might be starting to see characteristics with them. And this could be in your mind's eye. So it is possible to have a flash that is external, but to have a visual experience that's like in your mind's eye. So something flashes outside and you don't necessarily see like a face outside, but you see a face in your third eye vision here. That is absolutely possible. And that could be part of how you start to experience them too. So it's the kind of like, we're letting you know that we hear, and hey, this is what we look like. Awesome. You guys, I think that we've come to the end of our show. I know that I wasn't able to find my charging cable for my laptop, and it's saying that it is going to die shortly. So I am so incredibly grateful that you've joined me here this evening for tonight's Connection with Intention. I'm not exactly sure what's going to be happening over the next couple of weeks in terms of Oracle chats on Saturdays with Bobby. I know we've got Mother's Day coming up this weekend, so I don't know that we'll be live, but I do plan on being back next Tuesday. Same bat chime, same bat channel. 7 p.m. On Tuesday for Connection with Intention. And keep an eye out on the Universal Connections page, as well as my Heavenly Messenger page, for more information about what Miss Bobby Roundtree and I are doing. Thank you so much for joining me. Big hugs, lots of love and support your way. Oh, and two really quick things. The next month or so, I'm going to be really busy with teaching classes, which is super exciting. But it also means that my availability for appointments is really limited. So I think I have one appointment available next week on Wednesday, and I think I've maybe got a couple of appointments available at the end of May, and then nothing until the middle of June. So if you've been thinking, hey, now would be a good time to get a reading, hop over to bookingwitherin.com and grab an appointment quickly, because they will disappear. And the other thing is, mid-June, my rates will be increasing. So again, now is a really great time to grab an appointment for yourself. bookingwitherin.com. Thanks so much for joining me. Sending big hugs, lots of love, and support your way. We'll see you next week.